we've got the sections of the criminal code down, how it was violated, by who, by when, by where they were. Reported to the police, as we've done. The police maybe gives it to a crime manager, criminalization document. And they give it to a detective. The detective is the one who says arrest or no arrest. It's that simple. That's what we did. So we're one step away. Just got to do it over and over by everybody.
And it's not just on the one thing. We have to prove all of these things.
It's proven. We gave documents that got it all.
Justin's turn now.
Okay, sorry, to continue on. Well, it's easy to predict a disaster when you create the disaster. The policies of many of the biggest institutions, such as the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, World Bank, UN, the Rockefeller Foundation, World Economic Forum, and the Bank of America are all predicting a food crisis. And yet, it's the policies, always, with a very good sounding ideological philosophy behind them, that are causing what they are predicting. While the invasion on Ukraine will lead to less food supply, it's actually the currency devaluation and price inflation created by the central banks pumping out tens of trillions of dollars in stimulus packages to prop up too big to fail corporate partners that has really done the most damage. In 2020 alone, the Fed created over $6 trillion from nothing and airdropped it into the economy through COVID welfare programs. Add that to the many trillions the Fed has printed since the credit crash in 2008. It has been a non-stop dollar destruction party, and now the public is starting to feel the consequences. Inflation leads to government price controls. Price controls lead to lack of profits. Lack of profits lead to loss of production. Loss of production leads to shortages, and shortages lead to government rationing, control over all large food sources. But don't worry, the Cricket Food Processing Facility in London is here to help and to be a great source of protein for all of us. When a government controls the food, they control the population. When the government controls the food, they control the population. Could this be the plan? The last headline reads, "The Dutch Farmers Protest and the War on Food." You may have heard tens of thousands of farmers gathered all across the Netherlands to protest the government's policies, which will reduce the number of livestock in the country by up to a third. This will indeed shrink the whole farming sector, impacting thousands of farmers and the food supply of literally hundreds of millions of people. Perhaps more troubling is how this could act as a precedent. If the collective governments of the Western world were trying to impoverish and starve their own citizens, what exactly would they be doing differently? Well, there is always hope. Ways we do things. What are some ways you can think of that will help our food supply in the future? Everybody had a little garden in their front line instead of just grass. It would help a lot.
Network with the farmers.
Here are some actions I came across. Well, I'm not a farmer. I know a few who are thinking ahead and practicing more sustainable, less dependent kinds of farming. One farmer gave me some ideas. He sees are the ways of the future, such as small-scale farms, shared farming, using fertilizer only at critical times for growing at planting and flowering time, or pasture-based, livestock-based operations. With this kind of farming and thinking, you don't have to plow or till as much soil. You will have lots of land that can be grazed. Regenerative farming doesn't require synthetic fertilizers or pesticides, as its focus is on using interactions among soils, plants, water, and animals to restore. Learning about and investing in sustainable soil health and planting a bigger variety of crops are great solutions. So what if you are not a farmer? Well, buy directly from one and pre-order meat. Buy shares in a community-supported agriculture group or CSA.
Yep.
Consider keeping chickens or a garden or growing containers in your backyard. Hens eat scraps and insects off lawns. Eggs are amazing protein. Chickens produce great natural fertilizer. Buy and keep extra non-perishable and store potable water. Build relationships and networks with like-minded people.
Yep.
The soapbox is a great place to do that. There is an old Zen story about a king whose people had grown soft and entitled. Dissatisfied with the state of affairs, he hoped to teach them a lesson. His plan was simple. He would place a large boulder in the middle of a main road, completely blocking entry into the city. He would then hide nearby and observe their reactions. How would they respond? Would they band together and remove it, or would they get discouraged, quit, and return home? With growing disappointment, the king watched as subject after subject came to this impediment in the road and turned away, or at best tried half-heartedly before giving up. Many openly complained or cursed the king, or fortune, or bemoaned the inconvenience, but none managed to do anything about it. After several days, a lone peasant came along on his way into town. He did not turn away. Instead, he strained and strained, trying to push it out of the way. Then an idea came to him. He scrambled into the nearby woods to find something he could use for leverage. Finally, he turned with a large branch he had, cracked it into a lever, and deployed it to dislodge the massive rocks from the road. Beneath the rock were a purse of gold coins and a note from the king, which said, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path. Never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to